Welcome to LaTour Retirement Talk. I'm your co-host, Tony Shore, and I'm here with our hosts, Jim Margraf and Josh LaTour. Jim and Josh, great to see you today. It's going to be a great show. It's been crazy. I've been busy. How have you guys been? Josh, what's going on over there?
Oh, Tony, I've been fantastic. Yeah, we have been busy. It's been a busy week in the office. But now last week, I got a little bit of a break. My family, we all went out to Colorado, spent a couple days on the slopes. The snow wasn't necessarily world class in the West. They've had a really slow start to the snow season, but we still had a nice time out on the slopes.
Yeah, you should have gone to the East Coast this year, Josh.
Apparently, who would have thunk it?
Should have came up to Minnesota. If you would have went up to northern Minnesota, there's a ski resort up there. They've got a couple of feet.
Wow,
fresh powder.
It's crazy. Yeah, they got the snow in the places where they normally don't this year. But no, we still had a really nice time with the families. The baby's first time it's really seeing any major snow, and so we had a really good time.
You brought a baby out into the snow?
Yeah, he didn't go on the slopes. He's only 9 months.
I hope, but I hope not. He stayed back in the lodge or the cabin or the house. Yeah,
went to daycare a couple of the days.
Oh wow, okay, wow. So both mom and dad got a chance to get out, and
yes.
Yeah, that's nice. But it was probably great for you. And you went with the whole family. Was Joe there?
Yep. So my parents, and then Courtney and me and the baby, of course.
Did both your parents ski?
They do. Yeah.
Wow,
they're getting better and better every year. They actually, Tony, they tried out their first black diamond.
Oh, wow. Okay.
This trip. So they had a lesson. They went with an instructor, and he took them down I don't know if they were the biggest fans of it, but they at least have that notch in their belt. They've done a black diamond now. So
wow. Yeah. Well, you got to be careful, if you're not used to that level of skiing. But I love downhill skiing. I haven't been, honestly, in a few years, but I do love downhill skiing. I really, really do. And I love Colorado, winter or summer. Beautiful.
Yeah. It is beautiful out there.
Yeah. I mean, what a beautiful state. It's one of my favorite states to visit. That's where we took our last big family vacation, where we took a couple of weeks and went to Colorado and had a really nice Airbnb just 30 minutes north of Aspen.
Oh, nice.
At about 8,000 feet. It was beautiful. I mean, beautiful. Yeah. Yep. And so that was great. Now, Jim, what do you have that can match that? Anything? The ski vacation or?
Yeah, no. I had Josh's work while he was gone. No.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody had to hold down the fort.
Somebody has to work around there when Josh is skiing. What 80? I think in 2025. If we added it up, Jim and I were talking. I think it was roughly 57% of the time of the year Josh was actually somehow downhill skiing. I didn't know how that was possible.
If only.
If only. Yeah. It was all downhill for him last year. That's all.
Bump. I don't have that queued up, but that's great. That's funny. So you were busy though, right?
Yeah, I was busier in a one-arm paper hanger in a windstorm. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it was had a lot going on, and it's the end of year. A lot of people trying to catch up on something they forgot or missed, or double checking on a lot of things at the end of the year, because there's a lot of things once you reach December 31st, you cannot take care of later. So helping a lot of people, just getting things buttoned up.
Yeah, good. Well, that sounds great. Now, today, I know you wanted to talk about tax strategies that can save you money. And that's a big part of financial planning, looking at tax strategies. And I know neither one of you are CPAs, but you work alongside tax professionals right there at LaTour Asset Management and help your clients with this. But a big part of retirement planning and income planning it all centers around tax strategies. I mean, that's what most retirement accounts is a specific tax designated account, right?
That's right, Tony. Last week, before I went on the ski vacation, we had an event, and we had Ed Slott out to speak to a lot of our clients, as well as some other clients' friends and other people that we were able to invite. Really nice event. And you know what? He talked about a lot of the things we're going to go into today. So I think it's kind of a nice, timely show that we're doing here.
Yeah, that's great. I actually interviewed Ed Slott a few times this year over the course of the year. I had a chance to talk to Ed, and you want to talk about, he's considered pretty much the foremost expert on IRAs, Roth IRAs, and how taxes can affect your retirement, right?
That's right. Yeah, and we're part of his Master Elite program. So Jim, myself, Joe, we go twice a year to their events. It's a mandatory event if you're going to be a member, and they give a ton of fantastic information. And then not only that, but because we're members, we have access to the professionals that teach that information. And these guys they're just golden. They know their stuff. And so if we run into a scenario with a client that it's a little bit off the ordinary scenarios we see, we have that back office support. We're able to call them. And a lot of times that has to do with taxes.
Yeah.
So, and the thing is, Tony, an overall comprehensive plan really isn't worth its salt unless taxes are at least taken into consideration. Maybe Roth conversions and things like that aren't going to be for everybody, but it's worth at least a conversation and considering it for your plan.
Yeah, I think that's huge. Now, when it comes to tax strategies, what's the first one you want to tackle? And I bet I can guess it without even looking at your notes.
And what would that be, Tony?
Roths?
Yeah, maybe just a little bit of a little bit of Roth. I love Roth, Tony. I mean, I think it's one of the greatest gifts Congress ever gave to the American people.
For sure.
It is the ability to have their retirement funds growing tax free.
Yeah.
We talk about IRAs, and Ed Slott actually says an IRA is an IOU to the IRS. Well, the Roth takes care of that. You end up buying out the silent partner you have on your retirement funds when you convert from an IRA, a pre-tax IRA, to an after-tax Roth. And rising tax brackets, they no longer affect your IRAs that way. When it's a Roth, it's going to grow tax-free. When you go to take distributions from it, it's tax-free. If you pass away, you pass it to the next generation. They inherit it tax-free. So it's also a fantastic gift to pass on to your heirs.
And you don't have to take required minimum distributions from an IRA, right? Or I mean a Roth IRA.
Right.
Roth IRA, you do not. That's correct. Yeah. One of the things that Ed has said a lot, and we have used it a lot here, is that, you have a silent controlling partner on those pre-tax funds, right? Now, don't tell anybody out there, but hey, rumor has it, he's not really your uncle.
Yep. So, Uncle Sam you're talking about,
Uncle
right?
Sam, yes.
Yeah. So when you talk about accounts, you're talking about like 401ks, 403bs, TSPs, and traditional IRAs, right?
Yep. Correct. Anything that you put the funds in and got a tax deduction for, a lot of people like to call it a tax savings. It's not really a tax savings, except for that particular year. Right. All you're really doing is kicking that can down the road, and you're going to eventually have to pay taxes on it. So when you have that IRA, that 401k, let's say for easy math, let's say we have $1 million in there and you're in a 20% tax bracket. Well, how much of that $1 million is actually yours? Right. $800,000 is actually yours. So all we need to have happen here is for the next Congress, next president, to say, okay, we want to change the tax rates, or maybe change where the bracket numbers are, and all of a sudden you're in a different tax bracket than what you had anticipated.
Yeah, instead of 20%, Uncle Sam taking 20% of everything you've saved in your retirement account,
right?
He might say, I need to take 30% of everything you
exactly.
You're in a higher tax bracket now. We're raising the tax brackets again because the debt. Right. We're finally going to tackle our national debt. And at some point, they'll have to raise taxes. I mean, it's just, it's inevitable.
I'm sorry. I almost busted up laughing there when you mentioned that they were going to tackle the national debt. 38 trillion and counting very quickly. Yeah. I mean, the problem is, and when we look at the history of U.S. tax rates, though, Tony, we had 20 years where the top tax bracket was 90% or higher. We had 50 years where the top tax bracket was 50% or higher.
Right.
And there's a number of people in Congress that are championing and saying, hey, we need to go back to some of these rates of 50, 70, 90% for the top tax brackets. So to the point that Josh made early in the beginning here, if you convert those funds to Roth, now whatever they do to the tax rates doesn't matter. It's now take it from a forever taxable group of dollars to a never again taxable group of dollars, and it doesn't matter what Congress does after that.
Plus, that's not even considering, sorry, Josh, that's not even taking into consideration the growth. You don't have to pay taxes on all that growth. So the principal and the growth comes out tax-free. But if you leave it in a Roth, if you leave it in a traditional account, you're going to have to pay taxes on all that growth. And hopefully with compounding interest, and if you've been dollar cost averaging your way in and contributing to that account every paycheck, that's going to grow and grow and grow. And more of that is going to be taxable. You might find some people have actually now found themselves in higher tax brackets in retirement.
That's absolutely right, Tony. And, we talk about Uncle Sam being the silent partner on your IRAs. Well, it's actually worse than that. I mean, he's a partner on your IRA that can decide he actually owns more of it. So he has the ability to change how much of it he owns. And that's our problem. Jim talked about if you're in the 20% tax bracket, well, maybe that's where you are now. 10 years down the road, taxes may change, and maybe you end up being in a 30+% tax bracket.
Especially if you've got that much security. Yeah, especially if you have Social Security, a pension, and your savings in a 401k or a traditional IRA or TSP or whatever it is, those traditional accounts, and all that can count as taxable income. Some of your Social Security might even at that point, and that could put you in a higher tax bracket. That's the person I was talking to. I really find that interesting because you don't want to be there. You don't want to be there when the tax brackets raise either. And that can affect your taxable income in retirement, affects how much you pay for things like Medicare premiums too, right?
It sure does.
Yes, it does. That's an excellent point.
So, Tony, I was sitting down with someone earlier this week, and they were someone who came as a guest to that event we had with Ed Slott, and we were talking about the required minimum distributions that they're going to have on their IRAs. And the problem was for him, some people say, well, there's a problem. It's grown so much that the required minimum distribution on these IRAs was going to be 6 figures. So that is going to throw him into another tax bracket. And so rather than in retirement, having his tax brackets go down, his tax bracket is actually increasing each year. And so he is looking at ending up in the 24% tax bracket at age 73 at this point. And so, what about doing these Roth conversions? So that was the topic of conversation, because it seems to me, and I've run into this a couple of times, where it seems the higher net worth someone has, especially in those pre-tax dollars, they become more and more concerned with the tax rates instead of the returns. Because if it's not, at the end of the day, it's not about how much you have or how much you're making, but how much of those funds do you actually get to keep? And if you're in the higher tax bracket, Uncle Sam is he taking 24% of it? Is he taking 30% of it? 35, 37? Where are you in those brackets? And for this gentleman, he had a very real possibility of, he's in the 24 now, and he's going to be moving to the next one if his accounts keep growing the way they have. So looking at a Roth conversion for him, and one of his goals being to pass it on to the next generation. So Josh mentioned it, that Roth passes, the next generation gets that tax-free gift. That's huge. Rather than having a whole lot of taxable dollars be passed on to someone while they're in their highest tax bracket, while they're working. So It's a huge benefit.
That's huge. Yeah.
It is.
And you want to take advantage of these strategies and benefits, and but you don't want to try to navigate this alone. There are so many rules and things, and everybody's situation is different. A Roth conversion might not be right for everybody, correct?
Well, that's absolutely right, Tony. And honestly, any of the advanced tax strategies that are out there, it's not for everybody. But for the right person, it can be so impactful on their retirement. So I want to actually talk about the next strategy. We call it NUA, or net unrealized appreciation. This is going to be for a smaller subset of people. I think Roth is a consideration, at least for everybody. Everybody should talk about it with their advisor. Net unrealized appreciation is it's going to be more niche. This is going to be for people that have company stock of their company inside their 401k, 403b, and it's highly appreciated. So I'll give you, for instance, like O'Reilly's or Costco, somebody that's worked there for a long time. They started working there when they were like 18 years old. They bought stock dirt cheap inside that plan, and it's grown exponentially over the last 25, 30 years. And so now they're getting closer to retirement. Well, there's an option where you can actually take those funds out of that 401k. You can take it from being a pre-tax account and roll it out into just a stock account, an NUA stock account, and you only end up paying taxes as capital gains as opposed to ordinary income. Now, there's a plethora of rules here for these to work. One of the things you have to do, Tony, is when you roll those funds out, you pay taxes on the cost basis. So what you paid for the stock originally, you're going to pay taxes on that. If you're under 59 and a half, there you have a 10% penalty on that cost basis, but not on what it's grown to. And so now when you cash that stock out, you can do it over time and just pay long-term capital gains rates instead of ordinary income, which are much more favorable rates. So, all the way up to $600,000 of income, you're at the 15% tax bracket, which is much better than ordinary income. So it gives you an opportunity. And we've had people, Tony, that have retired before 59 and a half. If they had tried to do this with an IRA, well, they couldn't have taken money out of it without paying a 10% tax penalty. But because they had this highly appreciated company stock in their plan, they were able to use some of that stock to fund their early retirement without paying an extra penalty on top of it. So it's an advanced strategy. There's a lot of rules that go along with it, and you want an advisor that understands those rules. That's paramount.
Now, Josh, as you were talking there, the thing I was thinking about is, we learned about this from Ed Slott.
Yeah, we did.
Right. And when we started helping clients with this, the thing that we ran into is a lot of tax professionals didn't even understand it. And so we were actually able to have a conversation with the back office from Ed Slott's team with the accountant to get the taxes filed properly for someone who is in this doing this advanced strategy. So, this is not something you want to go alone. You need to have all the professionals on hand, and they all need to understand this and all the rules behind it when you're doing something like this.
Right.
Professional like yourselves and the team there at LaTour. I just think that all of these things combined can save people so much money over the long term, but you can't just look at your immediate situation. So many people have a tax preparer and they're just looking back at the last year or telling them, oh, before the end of the year, do this because that's for this year's taxes. But you have to look at the big picture, and that's where you look at the long-term plan and the whole picture, everything from Medicare to Social Security to pensions to IRAs, Roth IRAs, 401ks. You have to look at the big picture, and especially as people get closer to retirement, right?
Yeah, that's right, Tony. And you mentioned, the CPAs, they're looking in the rearview mirror. They're looking at last year, and it's not their fault. Tax law is written in pencil. It changes every year for them. So all they can do is work with last year's taxes, and that's what their job is. But we as advisors, we take on a macro approach rather than the micro, looking at not just taxes this year. We don't want to just have a deduction that saves us for this year. We want to have something that's going to save us taxes in years to come throughout retirement. So that I think that's paramount.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. So what's another strategy that we need to look at that you want to talk about today?
So, Tony, I think another one here is for business owners. Okay. And so Josh talked about the net unrealized appreciation. The NUA is for a small group of people. This one would apply to business owners who are getting ready to sell their business, and the business value is highly appreciated. So the big thing when you go to sell that business and you get that lump sum, now you're going to pay taxes on it. Right. Now, there's a way using a structured installment sale. That's what this is called. We use a structured installment sale to break up the distributions from that lump sum over time. So we're not paying the taxes on that large increase of funds, a large influx of funds, all in 1 year. So let's say someone sells a business and they have a $5 million profit on from the sale of that business. Well, $5 million, if we're going to pay the taxes on that in 1 year, that is one massive tax bill. But instead, we're going to put this and we're going to use the structured installment sale to break that up over time. And we're going to end up paying taxes on just what we distribute out of this trust that we put it in. And it's going to put us in a much lower tax bracket. So instead of sending all these funds to Uncle Sam right at the outset, we can put ourselves in a lower tax bracket and send them just what we have to each year.
Right. And I think the other thing that it does for you, Jim, is you get to invest 100% of those proceeds.
Correct.
Instead of let's say 25% of it goes in taxes if you just do a regular sale.
Right.
Now you're only investing 75% of the proceeds from your business. If you could invest all $5 million and then take it out over time, and not only are you lessening the taxability each year because you're in a lower bracket by taking out only a portion of it, you're getting to invest more from the get-go. So you have more to grow.
Okay. And it gets even if you're running your own business, it's really critical too, isn't it? Yes. I mean, things get even more complicated if that's possible with taxes and the IRS.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're going to do something like this, if this is something you want to look at, this is something that you need to do before you actually sit down at the table to sign paperwork. This is something that needs to be planned as you're getting ready to move into the sale of a business. You've said, okay, we've kind of settled on a dollar value, but before we actually get to the table to sign any paperwork, we're going to want to start the process and getting things set up properly so that this works. There's a few rules we need to follow. There's a few things that we need to have done ahead of time before we get to the actual sale of the business so that we can do this.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's huge. Obviously, you guys are used to helping people out with this. You've helped a lot of business owners and individuals in the community with taxes. And it just goes to show things you do, like bringing Ed Slott in, one of the foremost experts in the entire country on these topics, to talk to your clients and meet with people about that. That's a huge get. He wrote a best-selling book about tax strategies. It's really great, and I think it's great that you guys continue to learn about the new tax strategies and new laws, because it's constantly changing too. I mean, next year we could be talking about completely different conversion strategies because, like you said, Uncle Sam goes in and decides to change the rules on us, right?
Yeah, I think from our last workshop with Ed Slott, the workbook that we got of updates was over 200 pages long.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of changes that happen. And I believe in 2026, we're going to be going to 3 different Ed Slott events.
Right.
So we can stay updated because there is so much that's changing.
Yeah. I mean, you look in just the past 5 years, Tony, 2020 started out with the Secure Act. That was an absolutely game-changing tax law that came into place. and then what was it, 2022, I believe, or was it 2021? Either way, the tax Secure Act 2.0 came out.
Right. Yep.
So they called it the son of Secure Act. And then this year we had the One Big Beautiful Bill come out. That's a lot of tax law, a lot of tax changes, and being able to utilize Ed Slott's back office for some of these changes, it has been just huge for us because I don't want to have to keep everything up here. I mean, I do my best to keep it all up here, but having these experts that this is what they eat, sleep, and breathe, that's it's been so helpful to our business and to our clients.
Yeah, because when we sit down with someone and you can save them a couple $100,000 in taxes, that's just amazing that they get to keep more of that money instead of sending it to Uncle Sam.
Yeah, and that's really, if people want to know how to become wealthy or maintain wealth or grow wealth, that's the difference between those who do and those who don't, is tax strategies. For so many, like you said, taxes are an afterthought, right? And they can't be, because pretty much everything you do with your money centers around how much you keep, depends on your tax strategy, right?
That's absolutely right. Yeah, I mean, Tony, the thing is, a comprehensive plan, it has a number of different pillars, but one of the pillars is tax strategies and making sure you are considering the volatility of taxes. Because yes, a volatile market can take money away from you, but the volatility of rising taxes is absolutely a real threat in your retirement. And so making sure that that's a threat that has been addressed is extremely important for a comprehensive plan.
So how can our listeners and viewers out there, Jim and Josh, how can they get a hold of you to set up a no charge, no obligation consultation to meet with you and the team there to make sure they have the proper strategies in place for their situation?
So Tony, give us a call, 417-641-3497. And also visit our website, LaTourasset.com. We have a lot of information on there as well.
All right. Well, guys, great show today. A great topic. Listeners and viewers, thanks for tuning in. That does it for today's episode of LaTour Retirement Talk with our host, Jim Margraf and Josh LaTour.